Ready, Pete? Okay, why don't we find seats as people are coming in. Welcome to those of you who are here. Welcome to all of you who are joining us online, wherever you are. Used to say across the country, but really what we know is folks are tuning in around the world, or if you're watching us later on YouTube and participating that way. It is so good to have you here. My name is Mike Kinman. My pronouns are he, him, and el. I'm the rector, which is the senior pastor here at All Saints Church. And welcome to the forum. We are taking this season of Advent. Advent is a season of expectation, of waiting, of imagining and dreaming. And one of the themes of Advent is hope. We observe Advent every year because we trust, we believe, we hope, and it is that sure and certain hope that God is continually breaking into the world in new ways. And those ways are the ways of the Magnificat, that song that Mary sang, of those who are seen as the lowest in this world being lifted up, and the mighty being cast down from their thrones. All the distinctions and divisions that we put on ourselves as humanity and our fear being lifted, and us all living together as beloved community. And so we're taking four really areas of brokenness that seem intractable in our society, and we're gathering really amazing people and asking the question, where is the hope? If you were with us last Sunday, we had Senator Anthony Portantino here looking at the issue of gun violence and saying, where is the hope? Next week, we will have Father Greg Boyle and Michael Aran here looking at youth who are marginalized and at risk, saying, where is the hope? The end of Advent, we're going to have our Los Angeles District Attorney, George Gascon, here and say, well, where is the hope in our so-called justice system? And I'm so excited about what we get to share this morning, because we're looking at where is the hope with mass incarceration. And we are blessed here at All Saints Church to have part of our community be PRISM Restorative Justice. PRISM is an amazing, amazing organization that just continually is a presence of love in the jails of Los Angeles City and County. And when I say a presence of love is already in those facilities. PRISM is a way that those of us who are on the outside bring our love and meet the love that is in the inside and really tear down the walls that separate us. So we have four extraordinary guests, which I will introduce very briefly so we can just get to the conversation. First of all, to my left here is Sharon Crandall. Sharon is the senior director of PRISM Restorative Justice. She is the senior chaplain at Men's Central Jail and CRDF, and she is the co-facilitator of the Sacred Journey. On the other side there is Ann Noble. Ann is a dramatist, a playwright, has authored many of our gospel dramas here, and is the program director for PRISM Restorative Justice. Here is Ion Grigsby. Ion was 19 years old when he was arrested and entered the LA County jail system for the first time. Originally facing 4 life sentences, he was eventually found guilty of voluntary manslaughter and served 14 years, 9 months in a California state prison. During his incarceration, he earned his high school diploma and took every class he possibly could, even some college classes through Baylor University. Go Bears! Ion loves helping people and dreams of having his own mobile barber shop to serve his community, especially young people. He has been free for 26 days as of today. Yeah. And most importantly, Ion is engaged to his high school crush, Yesenia. Yeah. And then Ayana Vialta was 15 when she was arrested. She was found guilty and sentenced to 51 years to life. Fortunately, SB 260 and AB 109 changed juvenile sentencing and gave Ani a chance for parole when she turned 25. While she was incarcerated, Ani earned her high school diploma and took some college classes. Ani is currently a trainee at Homeboy Industries, working in the tattoo removal department. She is working, I know some people, by the way, who will need your services very short. Never get someone's name tattooed on you unless you're absolutely sure it's going to work out. She is working to have her case expunged and hopes to return to the system as a probation officer for juveniles. She wants to help other young people feel seen and valued in the same way that helped her get to where she is today. So welcome all of you. It is an honor to have you here in the forum. And really just want to start with the big question, and I'd love to sort of start with the two of you, which is, where do you find hope? Where did you find hope when you were incarcerated, and where are you finding hope now, and how much of a challenge is that? So just grab a...
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So for me, I found hope. I've never been incarcerated before. It's my first and last time. You will actually find people inside who aren't monsters or aren't these villainous type of people in which the media portray. You have people in there. I remember, I'll share this story. One day I was just walking. I was walking inside the pod, and I think I was having a tough day, and I looked up, and it was a guy who was standing in his doorway, and he mouthed the words, "Jesus loves you." And immediately, I went in my cell and I start to cry because, God, he knows us best, and he knows how to get through to us. And I understand that we are only vessels. So he works through other people. And that right there changed my outlook on individuals, no matter what their race, color, or creed were. And he happened to be a Caucasian guy. Inside the penal system where things are so racially based, it opened up my mind and my heart. And he sent people along the way continuously through my journey to give me that hope. It was times where I wanted to just give up, and but the thought of my family, the thought of me making it to a point where okay, I have a second chance. Now I can show my family, who I am, what I've learned, that I've changed. And I always felt in the back of my mind and in my heart that God wasn't going to allow me to do those life sentences, and in fact that he was going to restore my freedom and restore the relationships that I felt I've lost, and just restore my faith in humanity, because I've given up. I gave up on just human beings. I hated myself, and so and there were multiple outlets in which were available to us, and one in which Sharon, she had a center and prayer class in which I signed up to go to. I was just sitting out there, and I'm like, these guys look very happy after this group. I want that. So I went, and the most amazing and serendipitous experience I ever had. And if she taught me anything, she taught me that no matter what denomination, religion that people hold on to or claim, like, love is the number one most important thing. And the love for oneself and the love for others. And that's where my hope came from, through prayer, through the people that God had put in my life, and just holding on to the fact that I had loved ones that was counting on me. If I give up on myself, then everyone else will easily give up on me. And even when I thought I was ready, I wasn't. And so that's where I got my hope from.
What do you mean by that? Even when you thought you were ready,
Well,
you weren't.
I went through this place. I went through this phase where I was asking everybody to show me in the Bible where it says if you killed yourself, you will go to hell. I wanted to see it. I wanted to read it because I was on that trip, and giving up to me is that. So, for a long time, no one was able to show me exactly where it said it at, right? There were things that were like close to it, but I'm like, But just realizing how much that would hurt my loved ones, and actually witnessing and being around people who were doing it, who actually were doing it. Like, a lot of people have this perception, like, when you commit suicide, that's weak, that's the weak way. It takes a lot of guts and convincing to do that. That's not a big decision, so yeah. Yeah. I thought I'll never see this. Like, I was in a dreamlike state when I came home. It was unreal.
And it's only been 2 weeks?
It's 3.
3 weeks?
3 weeks, yeah. And I'm just super excited, I'm super excited, and it smells different out here, and I get to see cars and human beings and shake people's hands and see people's smiles, and like, inside of there, you're so restricted. Like, you can't hug. There's a lot of people inside that just need a hug. A hug. Like, oh my gosh. I remember the first hug I got, I just cried. I melted. But yeah, they just need a hug,
Thank you.
Surely.
Thank you, Ani. Yeah. Where do you find hope?
My experience with hope is...
Hold the mic just a little closer. There you go.
Sorry.
That's okay.
My experience with hope, I believe that it started when I was in juvie, and I ended up meeting with a chaplain. She had a program called The Good Seed, and she usually comes here once in a while, Greta. And I guess in that point in my time, I was broken, I was lost. I just felt like I couldn't trust any other adult, because every person that came into my life, even an officer, like, they wouldn't help me from my, my lifestyle. Like, I was raped, nobody believed me, I was abused, and I would tell so many people what was going on in my household, but I guess nobody had the courage to stand up for me. Until, of course, tragedy hit, and I ended up getting a case. But having her by my side, she showed me that I could trust again. I'm once able to love another individual, and having her, like, I see her as a mother. She showed me the love and care of what a mother and daughter's relationship actually is. And to this very day, like, I always go and visit her in San Luis Obispo, and I cherish her so much, because she's the one who opened the doors to that true love and meaning of hope, because she was the string, my lifeline, when I was inside. And just, being around her and seeing her smile and giving these groups, she just pretty much enlightened my life when it was in the darkness. Once, I was sentenced to 51 to life, I told her one time that I didn't want her in my court because I didn't want her to be judged by me. And she wasn't taking a no for an answer. So she was there, and just like in my trials of my case, Sharon was there every single day. And that gave me hope to know that I am loved, I am appreciated, and I'm alive. Because again, as he mentioned, like suicide, I became suicide at the age of 10. And I guess I seen that as a gateway to end my life. Because once that life sentence was thrown at me, I just wanted to give up. But seeing that people were coming for me on my behalf, they didn't let social media nor others' opinion of who I was take that mindset from who I really was. And I guess once the years went by, because I ended up doing almost 10 years, my connection with them became more stronger. I ended up building a family. They're not blood related, but I still call them family because they made me who I am today. And being inside, like, I never took 1 second for granted. Yeah, there will be times when I'll be in my darkest moments where I just wanted to just end it all. But knowing that I was going to leave behind all these good people, I just couldn't do it. And then I guess for everyone else who were incarcerated, I feel like family was their biggest strength, and their love and reminder that they will stand by them no matter what. And even though I didn't have family, my own blood family, I had family that encouraged me, that came day by day. So I guess that hope was just family and love. And having chaplains coming in and giving us that reminder that you are loved and acknowledged and that you're cared for. And I guess like them being with us in a daily day basis, that became our bond even stronger. So basically, I think that's where my hope came from.
Thank you. How about now? Where do you find hope now?
Where I find my hope now is I still have in contact with Sharon, Sister Greta. They're still my hope. I use that to my advantage, like that no matter what, like I will always have them on my side. Now, currently, my other hope, when I do get depressed once in a while, it's the child that I'm expecting right now. I'm 4 months pregnant. Thank you. And I want to give that love to my child the way they all did for me, and make my child realize that no matter what struggles you go through, like we're all going to be there for that blessing, pretty much.
There's a wonderful theme. It's not surprising at all, of relationship and seeing each other as human beings. And I think about you talking about Sister Greta and who she has been for you, and just that image of you of the first time. I'm just getting to, you got a hug and you just cried, and just that human contact. And I want to give Anne and Sharon, give you a chance to sort of talk about this is work that in many ways you're giving your life to, and why, and where do you see hope, and where has this been hope-filled and life-giving for you?
Well, for me, where it's life-giving and hope-filled is in lives like Annie and Ayan. I think that I never imagined myself going into the jail as a chaplain, but the first time I did, I felt that deep sense of love and that deep sense of the presence of God in the midst of the chaos. And that's what draws me back all the time. And you know, in the midst of all these really sad stories and tragic stories and pain and trauma that we find in incarceration, there is so much joy and so much hope. And the way that I watch people inside take care of one another, like what Michael was saying, Ayan was saying inside, the way they care for one another always moves me to tears. It is so powerful. It is the widow's mite over and over and over again. And Ayan, I don't know if you remember this because it was 10 years ago, but I remember someone was going to the hole, and I watched these men all scramble together to get together food. And it's not like they had food or could go to a grocery store, but they scrambled together to get food to make sure this guy had a meal before he went to the hole. And it was like 30 men going through their stuff to just get together the food, and then to sneak it over to him because they couldn't, you know, this was all done behind the scenes illegally, and they were risking going to the hole themselves in order to do this for their friend. And those are the stories that I see, and as we say in prison, we bear witness to, so that we can share this incredible humanity and love that's present there. And imagine, I always tell people this when I see them inside, imagine if you led the life you are living inside, outside, caring for people you don't know like they were family, relying on people when you're having your very worst day. I see that every single time I'm in the jail, and I'm fed so deeply and filled with so much hope. Because if they can do that and live their lives like that inside, imagine what they're going to do when they get out. And that's what I tell them both all the time. Imagine what you're going to do now, because what you've done to get to this place is so incredible.
Well, Sharon just said it all. It's just exactly what happened right here, right now. Whether I like it or not, when I sit with someone, I'm moved and I feel God. Like, it just feels that flow of love is just happening. And I guess for me is the resiliency. People who fall down and get back up. And, you know, I get upset if I get a paper cut. And, you know, and the community of, we were just talking in the car, Annie and I, about how the group that you're with takes care of each other, and how outside we are so trained to be completely separate. And we were just sharing this conversation about growing up in education, and how even as a kid, they tell you, don't cheat, don't look at someone else's paper, don't let someone look on you, just stay focused, do your own work, keep your head down. And our whole world is telling us that we're better off alone. But you guys on the inside have to keep that community. And I just go with what Sharon, you just said. We're being trained by you to come out and live a life of community, and not just to help someone else, but to allow yourself to be helped. I find that was one of the hardest things for me. I'm also, as a sober alcoholic, asking for help. And we feel humiliated. But wait, if I feel humiliated asking for help, how does that mean I'm looking at when I help someone else? That means I somehow am looking at them as less than. So for me, it's a profound act. I feel blessed to be able to go in and learn from you and just sit there and have a conversation. And I would also just like to reiterate what Sharon said and what you both have said about joy. I don't know if I've ever laughed so hard as when I've been in the jails and hearing the stories and the phone calls and the goofy things that happen and the joy. And there is this celebration that's happening there in the midst of the darkness. And if that's not Advent, I mean, come on, right? The light in the darkness, it's always there. And I go there to get fed. You guys are the best Christmas dinner ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's something that really strikes me about what all of you are saying is it's a testament to you all. It's a testament to how strong the human spirit is. It's a testament to the power of love, because all of the good things that you're saying did not happen because of the way that jails are set up, but in spite of them. You're describing a system where compassion is illegal. I mean, literally something that we would think of as, I have a friend who needs food, and I am risking horrible punishment to bring a friend some food. That is the system that we have set up, where I could get punished for giving someone a hug. And that's the system that we have set up. And, you know, Angela Davis, a long time ago, and still does, talks about how there's a social function to prisons that needs to be gotten rid of, which is prisons remove people from us, and I would say remove us from each other. And they're not place. I mean, how can a place where you're not allowed to give a hug be a place of healing? And so what I would like, first the two of you, but really all of you, to say is, first of all, if you think that you don't know someone who's been incarcerated, maybe you're right and maybe you're wrong. And that we are much more likely or not likely to know people who are incarcerated by our social location, because people like me generally don't get incarcerated, as much, and that's not because I am any less likely as a human being to do things that require incarceration. We just don't. We primarily incarcerate black and brown people in this country, and we incarcerate poor people in this country. And we do it more than any other country on earth. And so what do those of us who may never have been in a jail or a prison need to know about people who are in jails and prisons? And you started talking about some of that. And then also, if you could wave a magic wand over our sort of carceral system, what spell would you cast and how would you change things? And Anna, you've got a mic there. I wonder what you think.
For me, I think one of the changes will be the labels that they put on us, and then the separating us because, like, for the men, the color of our skin or the gang that you're in. Just like women, we are separated either because we're in relationships that we're not supposed to, and they remove that. Again, women are emotional creatures, so we end up building families inside. I had a mom, a dad, and sadly, whenever they will see some type of affection or in their eyes they've seen something criminal, they will move them to a different yard or even to a different facility. And I guess there's, in that darkness, there's not compassion when it comes to officer and inmate. They just see us as inmates, or their number. They don't see us as Annie or Sharon and so forth. They just see us as an inmate, as a criminal, and they shouldn't do that because we had a life. And sad to say, we did something wrong, but it's not like we woke up one day and we decided to do it. Some of us, we were in the wrong place at the wrong time, or just other situations, but it shouldn't just automatically just put us as criminals. We're human and we have a name, and hopefully now we could show that to, everyone who's seen us or judged us for the crime itself to see us now that we are citizens and we're role models for the people that were incarcerated, that we're doing well, that we understand. And so, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, great question. For me, there needs to be more compassion and more empathy in the penal system. So I'll share this. My attorney, he was a state-appointed attorney. Thank God for that. And he had experienced 10 years as a district attorney. And he told me the common philosophy of a district attorney. And they say it's easy to make a guilty person appear guilty. That's easy. But if you make an innocent person appear guilty, then you're a dang good attorney. That philosophy right there is preposterous. Sometimes you go inside the system and they know that you're innocent, but they're so bent on securing a conviction. Another statistic, I read a lot, so I was going through an almanac, 2011 almanac, back at that time. It was the first almanac I ever discovered. Didn't even know what an almanac was, but I was reading about the statistics. You know, African Americans make up a very, very small percentage of the population in California, but the highest percentage in prison. We have the state of Texas, which is the biggest state in California, which only has, I think, about 4 or 5. Here it is, California, we have 33. That's preposterous. And so, with that being said, you know, you mentioned George Gascon visiting pretty soon, man. God bless that man. God bless him, because he's coming through and he's actually observing these statistics. It's like, hold on, something isn't right. Hispanics and blacks make up the majority of prison, but just a small percentage of our state. There's something wrong with that. And not only that, like Annie mentioned, you know, you have some COs and some sheriff deputies who are actually like kind, who treat us like human beings. Very small percentage. And in fact, they deal with scrutiny from their constituents and their peers. Because if you are kind to an inmate, then when you walk away, oh yeah, you're an inmate lover, huh? You like inmates, yeah. You know, and they tease them for doing that, you know? And I'm just so grateful for the ones I've come across. All of them aren't gun-ho and just appear to view us as subhumans and stuff. You have some that you know are compassionate, and a common scenario is they always share the story how they too should have been in our shoes for the things that they've done. They just never been caught, you know. And that's a classic story I hear all the time. But yeah, if I had a magic wand and I can make some things happen with the flick of it, for sure I would instill compassion and love, which is it's you have something in there, but from all angles, from the judge on down. Also, poverty, because those who live in poverty-stricken neighborhoods are more liable and exposed to incarceration. Like, you put somebody in a neighborhood where crime is thriving, where they're poor, where you have to resort to crime in order to like just survive, or and it's not an excuse in any way. I understand some people. You got guys in there that, for instance, she's about to have her first child. I met guys in there that was about to have their first child, and they couldn't find a job or whatever the case may be, and they're like, "Oh man, I have to do something for my child," and they resorted to crime, and it turned out a little worse, much worse than what they, imagined. And so, like, those are reminders for me to like be patient and to allow whatever I'm supposed to have to come to me, because it will. God is merciful and forgiving, and for me, forgiveness, because like I've become more of a forgiving person, more so ever than in my life. But some certain things that are like I'm still struggling with, and I'm aware of it, and I try to be more forgiving, and I think forgiveness is something for sure, because you have some guys that try to appear tough and stuff in court when they get sentenced, and they laugh and all that, but surely when they get back to that cell at night and everything sinks in, and they are faced with the reality that they're going to be away from their families for the rest of their lives, they're going to weep. They're going to weep. So I hope I answered your questions.
Like, I know some of this stuff is things that you're going to be talking about on your podcast. Can you talk about the podcast you're launching?
Sure, yeah. So me and I'm Muslim, by the way, but me and a couple of my Muslim brothers, we launched a podcast, one in which I was incarcerated with. We both did close to 15 years. He's thriving. And we started a podcast. It's called the Unguarded Podcast on YouTube. And we talk about everything from incarceration to our transition back into society, to the jargon, the new slang words, and, our experiences. And we go through everything. And, it's just the fellas just shooting the breeze. But our goal was just to like share our experiences and to enlighten people. And like Sharon said, like every day in prison is a horrible place. But every day isn't a bad day. You have days where you meet some of the funniest people in prison, like some of the funniest people. And for me, laughter, I'm silly, so like for me, laughter is big. And yeah, so every day in prison is not miserable. It's not just, oh my gosh, let me kill myself. No, like you have some days that are good, But I think the most underappreciated thing that people take for granted is time. Time, in every essence of the word, time. Time is because like we have so much time on our hands to think and to get into trouble or to be productive, to rehabilitate or to learn how to be a better criminal. Like all these aspects are available, but what we do with our time, I've met people who, my sister, she was like, oh, I wish I had more hours in a day, and some people wish they had more time, and even when our lives come to an end, time keeps going. So we have to most definitely like appreciate the gift of time.
Want to just have? Did you want to? Okay. We got a time for sort of one or two questions before we at least have to shut the live stream down. Any sort of thoughts or questions from the room? Want to give people a chance to engage. Okay, Don, here, they come over here.
I'm just curious about the financial support for PRISM and how much All Saints participates in that.
The financial support for PRISM, the PRISM Restorative Justice.
So the PRISM ministry needs financial support.
Good job.
But All Saints contributes in a huge way. They allow us to come here and have our bread consecrated for church services. They give us storage space. They help us with photocopying, which is huge, actually. And more importantly, they give us opportunities like this. And it's a place where we feel welcome. And I can't tell you how important that is to me, that I could invite Annie and Ayan here today and feel proud to have them here and not worried that they're not going to be welcomed, that this is safe space for them. And that's the most important thing All Saints does for us.
Well, and I'll jump on that a little bit because it's a good segue. I also, we try to do a little fundraising for PRISM too. And a way that you can be involved in that is the website is prismjustice.org, PRISM justice.org. And they got a donate button on that website. And I cannot think of really anything that is a better use of your funds than going to prismjustice.org and making a donation to PRISM Restorative Justice. It's just such an amazing organization. Any other questions? Back here, Clara.
Thank you for being here, Ayan and Annie. And I'm sorry. And Ann and Sharon for the work that you do. I'm not a stranger to prisons. I was a public defender for probably about 8 years, so a lot of my clients dealt with, and so I understand there's the culture. But I want to ask, it's when you come out, because you have a system, you develop families inside. But I remember Shawshank Redemption, and with a lot of the recidivism, it's when you come out, not finding that community. I'll make this a question. You said that you became a Muslim while in prison. I remember Malcolm X. I think I may be wrong, but I think that's when he converted, and that there's a strong program there. Is there anything that matches that from a Christianity standpoint? And I guess the other thing is that what support do you have now? What community are you in now?
So the camaraderie amongst the Christians inside the prison are just as strong and prominent, and there's no division amongst us. Like we celebrate our similarities rather than recognize the differences. Now, as far as the supporting community that I have out here, like I regularly visit every Friday a masjid in Los Angeles, and I have Islamic brothers and sisters who actually reach out to me. Also, my godmother, Sharon, she's also a big support system for me as well. I have family and sisters and stuff. Like, I'm a gang dropout, so I'm no longer an active gang member. I've been such for about 13 years now, and so that is, I'm shut out from that. So my main thing is just the support of my loved ones and the community in which I live in. Like, I've taken a lot from the communities, and now my only desire is to contribute and give back, to be an asset rather than a liability.
Yeah, Sharon, go ahead.
I just want to add to that because number one, Michael is in a transitional house run. It's an Islamic transitional home. Oh, Ion, I'm sorry. But I've been so impressed with the way that he's cared for there, and actually blown away. And I want to share this story because, part of being on coming out is there's a lot of things that he has to do, a lot of classes and programs that he has to go to. And he doesn't have a car. He doesn't have very many resources. And tell them the home, they have a policy, do no harm. And excuse me for sharing this, but the first couple of weeks of coming out, and I've heard this from many people coming out of prison, is full of anxiety, that you're not used to being around other people, and it's paralyzing. And so Michael has a hard time taking public transportation. And so tell them about the do no harm.
Yeah, so being in a transitional home, one of the things that is imperative of anything is just causing further hardship to the residents. So, the anxiety that I experienced just being in crowded places or fast movements or anything. So yeah, I had a fear of catching buses still to this day, and they were able to provide Uber for me and to make sure I got to my destination and back. It's such a blessing, I don't take anything for granted. And so yeah, just they have a realization that we already have it. We're disadvantaged minorities. When we come back into society from prison, that's what they label us, disadvantaged minorities, until we're back thriving and able to be productive members of the community. Causing any further hardship amongst us is out of the equation, and I'm thankful for that, because they could have just been like, oh, well, if you don't catch a bus, you get violated, you go back. And essentially, like, I would have had to get over that fear because I don't want to go back, so I'll sit there at the bus stop and face my fear or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that has been very, very helpful, and all praise to God for that.
We're going to have to let Keith go because he's got to get to the church, so we're going to say goodbye to our folks online. Everyone turn around and wave to the folks online. Real quick, and can you guys stick around a little bit if people in here want to talk with you more?
Surely.
So 2 things real quick. The first is, if you're interested in becoming a prison chaplain, it is amazing. I've done it. Sally's done it. We have other folks here at All Saints who's done it. It is phenomenal. It is just amazing. I don't even call it work. It's just amazing love and community. Please talk to Sharon or Ann about that. And then can we just express our appreciation and our thanks to these amazing guests this morning.
Thank you.
Okay. And give prismjustice.org. Smash that donate button. See you next week.